Hello foodie friends and welcome back. Today we're actually going to do a second class dinner that was featured in 1913, which would have been 2 years prior to the sinking. And it looks really good. I'm excited about it. Now, of course, we don't know the exact recipe, but we can make at least an approximation. This one's a little bit fancy. I figured since it's second class, we need to go a little bit, a little bit special because second class food, it was really good and pretty fancy for the ticket price that you paid for. So we're gonna go ahead, get that ready, get it started, and see how it tastes.
On May 1st, 1915, passengers gathered at the Cunard Pier in New York to board the RMS Lusitania. Prior to this sailing, the German embassy had placed a notice of warning in the New York newspaper underneath the Lusitania's advertisement, saying that any passengers who embarked on a British ship did so at their own risk, and that any or all of these ships could be sunk as soon as they entered the war zone. In spite of this warning, the Lusitania would carry more passengers on this voyage than on any other voyage in the prior 2 years. And in a terrible twist of fate, this voyage would also see an unusual number of infants and children on board. Only a couple would actually cancel their ticket due to the German warning, and a few others canceled because of illness or other plans. One who canceled due to illness was Lady Cosmo Duff Gordon, who had survived the sinking of the Titanic only 3 years prior. And in another stroke of bad luck, the British Admiralty would decide to commandeer a ship named the Cameronia. Because of this, the 42 passengers and crew were transferred from that ship onto the Lusitania. And of those 42 transferred, only 13 would survive. Reporters filmed the departure of the Lusitania on this last voyage. And out of the 1,960 people on board, only 761 would survive. The Lusitania had an uneventful voyage until she came to the Old Head of Kinsale off of Ireland. At that moment, the fog that had plagued the ship coming around Ireland suddenly lifted and revealed a gorgeous, beautiful day of sunshine and calm water. This gave the German submarine U-Boat 20 that had been patrolling those waters the perfect view to train a torpedo right into the bow. As the Lusitania lost electric power 1 minute after the attack, everything from the elevators to the watertight bulkheads to the steering mechanism were rendered completely useless. Many were trapped below in pitch darkness before they even had a chance to try for the boat deck. Chaos ensued as the ship quickly began sinking by the bow and rolling to starboard. This roll rendered many of the lifeboats completely useless, as they could not be properly launched. Several jumped from the ship and began to swim away, but many more clung to the giant ship in a desperate hope that the watertight bulkheads would hold and she would float. However, the 787-foot ship would ultimately sink in just 18 minutes, leaving behind a swirling mass of people, debris, and overturned lifeboats. The Lusitania now rests in 305 feet of water. Dives to the wreck show that she has significantly deteriorated much faster than Titanic. She has remained relatively untouched and serves as the only grave marker for the 1,193 people she took with her that day. And now let's begin. A dish that was served in second class. Start by blanching your asparagus until just tender. You'll then season your chicken on both sides if you wish, with the Italian seasoning, the paprika, onion powder, salt, and pepper. Heat some oil in a skillet, and go ahead and cook your chicken. If you're using thin cutlets, it should only take about 4 to 5 minutes on each side. And while that was cooking, I decided to go ahead and start my rice, which I left very simple, and I also went ahead and warmed up the mushy peas. Once your chicken is done, go ahead and remove it from the pan and melt some butter. You'll cook these for about 4 to 5 minutes, season it with some salt, and then add in your garlic and saute for about 1 more minute. You'll then remove these from the pan. And then we can start by making the sauce. Go ahead and pour in your wine. Allow that to come to a boil and leave that for about 5 minutes. And make sure you scrape up all the brown bits from the bottom of your pan. And then add in your broth. You'll want to cook that for about 10 more minutes and allow the sauce to reduce. Now you'll add your cream. Allow that to simmer for about 1 to 2 minutes. You can add some more salt and pepper if you need to, but I found it didn't need it at this stage. Now you're going to add everything back to your pan, your chicken, your mushrooms, and your asparagus. You'll sprinkle everything with your mozzarella cheese, and then place the whole thing in your oven with your broiler on high. This is just to get your cheese nice and melted and bubbly. And while that was going, I went to my herb garden to snip some fresh parsley. Give that a good chop. And by now that should be done. Go ahead and pull your dish out of the oven and you'll sprinkle the top with your parsley. And now you're ready to serve this classic lunch with your rice and mushy peas. That would have hit the spot after a long morning of shuffleboard and walking the promenade deck.
Man, is my mouth watering.
It looks really good.
Yes, it does. Okay, the rice, that's just on there because that's historically accurate.
Okay.
They would have served the rice. So, it's just rice. We're not going to go taste test that one. But what we're really concerned about is the mushy peas. Right? So let's try the chicken first.
Looks like baby food.
It does look like baby food. It does. Okay.
But the chicken
looks really good.
looks amazing.
I should probably take a smaller bite. I'm gonna try a little asparagus too.
There's so many. I put a little bit of asparagus, cheese, mushroom, everything in that one bite. And there's so many layers of flavor that just work really, really well together. That it just it keeps going. As you know what I mean?
It does. We keep saying, oh, this is our favorite, bestest chicken dish. Is it? Did it edge out our other chicken dish? Yeah. Wow. I'm a little surprised. Because I don't know. I was just yeah, it's a chicken dish, but this is really good.
There's a lot of flavor.
Yes.
There.
Now, I don't know if I would make that, if you're working.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd make this as an end of the workday meal. This is kind of more of a weekend kind of meal.
Because
you're it's several steps that you have to do in a specific order.
But for like a special meal, but not like a super special meal, it's like,
oh,
you know
it's
what I mean?
just,
Like,
yeah. And I was a little afraid just because, like, I was like, man, this is a lot of steps. I'm taking in and out of this pan. Is this going to be worth it? Yes. It is absolutely
definitely
worth
the
it.
work. Whether you have a option to do all the work or not,
right,
is up to you.
I can definitely see why this was served.
Yeah.
Though in second class on the Lucid. Now, I would have been happy to get this in first class, but it didn't have caviar on top of it, so
or truffles. It's cheap
mushrooms.
mushrooms.
It's just it's the second class. But my gosh, like I would have been completely happy with it. Yeah.
Excellent.
Now let's try the mushy peas. I don't know.
It's not what I expected.
That is not what I thought it was going to be.
No, not at all. Like,
now, I'm sure there's probably people in the UK right now that's like, oh no, that brand, or oh, you got it from a can or something, or that's not mushy peas. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes from...
If you know better, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, the can does come from Ireland. So Publix did import it. So I'm assuming that, this is a really good approximation of probably what, a mushy pea would be. I'm sure homemade probably tastes a little different. It always does. But for coming from a can, I have to say, I think I like Irish mushy peas from a can better than I like American just peas from a can. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it almost... Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I thought it kind of looked like a, like a lima bean.
Yeah.
It has a flavor similar to a lima bean.
Yeah.
That I didn't expect. Like, it's not just, like, it's almost like there's more flavor in there than there should be in a pea.
Well, they let the peas dry in the field, apparently, and that's what makes it, like, a different consistency and stuff.
It gives it almost like a roasted or...
Ooh,
like, you know what I mean? Like... I don't know. It has a more umami than I would expect from peas.
So kudos to Ireland for like coming up with like we had our Irish stew, perfect, and now you've convinced us with your mushy peas.
Yeah.
I'm great with it. We didn't like the reason I didn't make them homemade.
Yeah.
Is because it is a very specific type of pea, and we just don't have it in this area. I probably could have special ordered it, but those foods tend to be kind of expensive on Amazon if you're like kind of. So I was like, you know what? Let's just get the can from Ireland and just see, how it goes. And glad I did, because I'll probably be buying that can more often now. It is really good. Yeah. Okay, so I would say, I'm going to give this meal definitely 5 stars.
Oh, yeah.
I can see why this was done on the Lusitania as part of one of the more expensive tickets you could buy, because it is an absolute spectacular meal. I like the fact that it's accessible to like an everyday, home cook. So you can make a piece of history if you really want to, because it's not that expensive. And it doesn't, it takes a little bit of effort, but not too much to where it would turn you off from it.
Right.
So I would definitely give this a try, because man, is it so good. And of course, you can never go wrong with something with cheese on it. So that makes it even better. Now, here's the cool part. The Lusitania was actually owned by the Cunard line. And the Cunard line is actually still in operation today. So if you want a little piece of history now, you're going to have to be careful now, because things going on. Might want to wait for it to calm down, or,
maybe
make sure
the
you...
end of this summer, it might be a little safer.
Make sure you get something first before you jump on a ship full of people. But... they are still having their cruises, and the cool thing about it is they are the only shipping company. Now, they were started in 1840. So this company's still going from 1840. And the cool thing about it is they're the only shipping company that is still doing ye old transatlantic shipping route from the old world to the new. So if you want a piece of, or if you want to experience like an actual ocean voyage that would have been similar to Titanic and Lusitania, Cunard Line's the only way you can do that.
Yeah.
You know, because the rest of them are going Bahamas and Bermuda and Alaska and stuff like that. Now, Cunard does go to Alaska, so you can do that too. And they also have a really, really cool thing. They circumnavigate the globe every year.
I think they're the only one that does that too.
I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah. And so if you've got lots of money just sitting around and lots of time, you can circumnavigate the globe on some of the most famous ships in the world.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have an excellent safety record. You know, Lusitania was kind of a fluke. It was war. They could not help that. So, you know, other than that, you know, they've got a really good safety record, better than a lot of the other ones that are in operation. So, you know, might want to keep that in mind. This, like
Maybe
I said, was a fluke.
180 years since they've been around.
They
might have learned a few things.
Yeah, I'm sure they've learned icebergs to go around and, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, you'd be perfectly fine. But that's something to keep in mind. You know, if you love ships and you're really wanting to get into this history, you know, if you can take a little trip to the old world and back on a Cunarder, you're definitely getting a piece of history, and you're going to get some awesome food because their restaurants are still really good. Like, the food is excellent on these ships.
Yeah.
So you're not going to starve and you're going to have a good time. So, I don't know, it might be in our future sometime. If I can get them on a ship, you know?
Me? I don't think I'm the one you gotta worry about.
I know, I'd be the one in my life jacket sitting in the boat deck, just like, okay, I know. I've seen this movie. I know what's going to happen. But there you go. We've got a Lusitania dinner all set and done. And next week, we're actually going to go ahead and go up a deck and try some of her first class food. We're going to see if it's just as good as second, because, you know, we've kind of found out through Titanic and Olympic and now Lusitania, second class has kind of got the better food, I think.
And
personally.
Sometimes I think, like, for what little bit first class is sometimes better, it's not worth the work.
Exactly.
So I think your second class is your best bang for your buck most of the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too.
Yeah.
So, but we'll give first class a chance next week.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we'll go into a little bit more on her history and a little more into the actual sinking and some of the people that were on board. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be pretty cool. And thank you for watching this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you really try it. It's going to be one of your new favorites. We'll see you next time. Bye.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.